Continue to dip in as we see relevant information being shared, and we'll be bringing it to you. Now this, a tragic and bizarre case. This is a young woman, African-American, slain by a hitman in Georgia. Now, the question is, who paid that hitman? The victim's father-in-law, originally from India. He could not accept that his son was married to a black woman. There are a million questions in this case, but one really big one is, where did this man's racial hatred come from to do something like this to his own daughter-in-law? CNN's Don Lemon reports he may have brought it from home.
From Bollywood to Bangalore, beautiful brown-skinned Indian people. Sounds like a compliment, right? Not necessarily. Just look beneath the skin and you'll find a culture much of which is obsessed with fair skin.
I want this photo. What a face.
Add to that a history of arranged marriages, many with a bend towards light skin. Classifieds from top Indian newspapers and websites read, "Looking for fair complexion," and "Seeks fair, slim, beautiful girl." Violence over race and place in India still erupts daily, but until recently was never exported to America.
We, the jury, found the defendant, Ajay Nair, guilty.
Last week in Atlanta, 68-year-old Chiman Rai, a native of India, was sentenced to life in prison for paying a hitman $10,000 to kill his African-American daughter-in-law who had just had his granddaughter. Her husband, Rai's son, testified in court that his father believed the relationship cast shame on his family.
We were brought up that, we should marry, Indian, same race.
Professor Ajay Nair blames India's complicated centuries-old caste system. Much of it, he says, is fostered by decades of British rule, perpetuated now in America by Indian immigrants struggling between two nations' ideas of fitting in.
I think there is a racial hierarchy in the U.S., and I think the Indian perception of that racial hierarchy is that whites are on top and blacks are at the bottom. And the closer you can get to whiteness, the better it is.
That recipe I've used before. So.
The black family, all too familiar with racism, who accepted their Indian son-in-law with open arms, whose daughter ended up on the tragic end of this conundrum, hopes Indians and Americans can learn to move beyond skin color.
We can sit down and talk to each other as individuals. The hiding behind things and saying, I hate you just because of, I don't know you. I'd like to believe we've gone beyond that.
We tend to forget the kind of solidarity that historically we've had with African Americans and other people of color. Many of the privileges that we've been afforded have come on the backs of black people who have struggled in this country, through not just through the Civil Rights Movement, but throughout the history of this country. So,
the Reeds say even before the father was charged, the Rais never reached out to them, never told them they were sorry for the loss of their daughter, never inquired about the granddaughter. Today, they and the granddaughter have no contact with the man who fathered her. Ricky Rai is now married to an Indian woman. Don Lemon, CNN, New York.
Take a look at this. Condi Rice has left South Korea, but the riots are still there. In fact,